A lot of crazy things happening in the TCG world for the past 7 days. Yesterday, my phone was blowing up because of this message, and for the past 7 days, in the riftbound world, crazy rumors about Call Shot, Reverse Row, and many of the other cards in riftbound might get limited or banned. So a lot of speculation happened after the World Championship final this weekend that just happened for Gundam. Welcome to another video. I'm rumours, and for the past 7 days, the TCG world gone wild on social media because there's so many potential ban lists, and I've been asking myself, is it too early to have a ban list? In this video, I will go over my thought on what's the speculation is about and what's the potential ban list in Gundam and in the Riftbound, because it's going crazy. First of all, I want to apologize for not being so active on YouTube for the last week because I've been grinding for Riftbound. Some of you might know that I participated in a 25K PPG tournament in Pittsburgh last weekend, and it was amazing. One of my favorite tournaments so far. I finished X2 in the 25K tournament, and I finished top 16 in the 5K tournament. I'm extremely happy. It's one of my first major tournaments in Riftbound, and I'm looking forward to share more content about Riftbound in the upcoming weeks because those are my two games that I play a lot. And potentially I can share my gameplay of my 7 rounds in the 5K because that's the one that I did. If you have watched the World Championship final for Gundam this weekend, you saw that how broken and how crazy that Amuro and Corsica base was in the current meta. And a lot of games was won because of a top deck of Amuro or just Amuro resting the last unit they need in order to clear up the board or going for game. And the same thing happened in Riftbound. In Riftbound, Call Shot is actually broken, and Draven, that's all you see in the originals in Bologna, Vegas. I've been seeing a lot of posts on social media like Facebook, Reddit, or even YouTube talking about getting Amuro banned. And if you guys have been watching my previous video, you know that I'm against banning Amuro. Amuro, it's an MVP. It's one of the best pilot in the game right now. And I'm actually against banning Amuro. Amuro is actually keeping the game together between blockers and aggro. If Amuro is getting banned, the whole game will shift toward the longer game, and a lot of you guys asking for best out of 3, and that will make it worse because best out of 3 will be actually longer, and you end up facing against a wall of blockers, and you cannot just go through, and the game will last about 30 minutes or plus. And at this point, we're going back to GDO2, so every deck will be a white splashing a different color. That will increase the lack of diversity and will causing a lot of people to quit or take a break from the game because people are tired of playing against white blocker deck. And that's what happened since GDO1, GDO2, and a lot of people have been complaining about it. And the second card that people have been complaining about will be Corsica base. Corsica base is one of the most broken base in the game right now that allow you to get an extra card and an extra body on the field. That giving you a 5 HP base to prevent your opponent from finishing you off with a bunch of winnies or small units that try to go through for game. And on your second copy of Corsica base, that give you 2 bodies plus a card. So I don't think there's any card in the game right now that giving you that much advantage. So I truly believe that those are the potential 2 cards that Bandai is actually targeting after the message of what they wrote on X. So the biggest question that we should ask ourselves is it too early to have a ban list? Potentially, I truly believe that it's a little bit too early because the game is lacking of diversity in the current meta. So what I believe that Bandai gonna do is potentially do something similar to One Piece, having a paired ban list. So for example, you cannot play Amuro with Corsica base in the same deck, or you cannot play Corsica while there's Amuro in the deck. But I don't believe that they're gonna do that because in GDO4, there's so many cards that are linking with Amuro. So banning Amuro will actually kill potential cards that are gonna release in GDO4. Potentially the only card that I think they're gonna ban will be Corsica base, or limiting Corsica base to potentially like 2 to 3 copies, or even only allowing you to have 1 copy in the deck. If Corsica are gonna get banned, they're gonna replace Corsica with white base because white base it's a very similar card compared to Corsica base. And the only thing is, it just costs a little bit more expensive to generate tokens continuously every single turn versus only generating 1 token. So that potentially gonna slow down the game a little bit instead of you getting a body, an extra card. But white base will only give you one card and potentially paying a cost to get an extra body based on how many bodies you have on the field. So white base, it's more a balanced card compared to Corsica base. Based on my potential speculation, I believe that Bandai gonna do a pair ban list similar to One Piece, or potentially just limiting the amount of copy that you can play Amuro in your deck, or limiting Corsica base to 1 or 2 copy per deck. And now jumping into Riftbound, I'm actually sad to hear that potentially Call Shot will get banned, but that's most likely because we don't want to have a top 16 in originals in Riftbound full of Draven with maybe like 3 or 4 different decks in the current meta. Because that's happening in China, and also the same thing is happening in Vegas, and even last week, even the week before in Bologna. If you look quickly on this list, potential ban card will be Call Shot, Fight or Flight, Stellacorn, River's Roll, Dazzling Aurora. I think the only card that deserves to get banned in this list will be Call Shot, because Call Shot is a card that allows you to go through your whole deck. If you only have few cards in your deck, Call Shot will allow you to loop over continuously and getting you +1 each time you play it, especially when you have a lot of runes. I don't believe that Fight or Flight or Aurora should get banned, because Fight or Flight is offensive and defensive card, and it allows you to just protect yourself to get some points. The biggest problem with Fight or Flight is if it's played inside of Draven. So I suggest that majority some tournaments that should have limited or not allowing people to play Draven, because it's not like Draven is the only color combination between red and purple. So red and purple, it's a very strong combination color, but I think potentially Annie or Jinx can be the replacement of Draven for the moment if some tournament decide to prevent you from playing that legend. I played against many Aurelia for the past 7 days, and Aurelia is actually truly broken if you play Stellacorn with Aurelia. If potentially playing Red to Win, Stellacorn is actually broken because allowing you to keep drawing cards every time it moves, and you get targeted, you get ready, and after that, you just bring it back to the base. So maybe a Stellacorn get limited but not banned. I don't think it's a card deserving to get banned. It's not as broken as Draven. So I don't think Stellacorn should be banned. River's Row is actually very broken because of Draven. So if Draven is not in the current game, River's Row won't be broken. Same thing with Aurora. Aurora, it's a very high roll type of cards. So if you're not able to play crazy units from your deck, Aurora, it's a very slow cards. And if you just based on luck, and if you hit your cards that you need in order to play Aurora earlier, that's the only moment that Aurora become broken. And I don't think that Aurora should be banned, maybe limited to 2 copy or even 1 copy. That might change the whole perspective of the card, because having 3 copy out of 40 cards, it's quite easy to draw it if you're allowing yourself to mulligan 2 cards and draw it as early as possible. I feel the semi-limited to 2 cards per deck, it's not really necessary, because a lot of those cards, people are not playing more than 2 copies beside Call of the Week, Defy, maybe potentially Watcher, but I don't think Watcher it's broken enough to get limited. Defy and Dance totally need to be limited to 2 or to 1 copy. But other than that, I don't see a lot of people playing more than 2 copy of Challenge. Heart Bargain, it's like a 1 or 2 copies. I don't see that people are gonna play more than 2 copies of Heart Bargain. I'm playing Draven, I only play 1 copy of Heart Bargain. It's quite limited because you don't have that much space in order to play Counterspell. Heart Bargain is similar, it has Not So Fast or Wind Wall. Wind Wall, people start cutting Wind Wall because Wind Wall is not that useful and people only playing 1 copy because it's expensive. But Heart Bargain, it's a little bit cheaper, but giving the option for your opponent to still play their spell if they're actually paying the cost of Heart Bargain. So I don't think it should be limited. Imperial Decree is a high cost card that I don't think that you need to limit that to 2 copies, because some decks are only playing 2 copies. Victor's playing maybe 3 potentially, but it easily getting counter has a spell. Sabotage, I think limiting to 2, it's fine, because the only deck that I play 3 Sabotage will be in my Severe. Severe, I play 3 copies, potentially 2 copies and citing a 3rd one. So it's broken, but it's only a 1-for-1 looking at your opponent's hand and limiting to only orange color to play it. I don't think it's that broken. So I think 2 copies makes sense. Limited to 1, Rebuke. I think majority of people only playing 1 copy of Rebuke and siding a 2nd copy of Rebuke in Draven. And any other purple deck, they might only play 1 copy of Rebuke. So limited to 1 might not be necessary. Stack deck to 1, maybe yes, but that was slowing down the whole meta, and having a lot of decks going to time. That's another thing, another topic that I need to discuss about best of 3. Best of 3, most likely you're going to go in time if the deck is too slow. So I've been fed up of going into time and drawing, having a draw. Last weekend I've been participating in the PPG. I finished 16th place at the 5K, and I got 2 draws in my 25K tournament. So just because of the drawing factors of you must win with 2 points or higher, that hurts a lot of decks that are combo decks and slowing them down. And majority of the combo decks might go potentially going time if you don't 2-0 your opponent. So that's a quite big problem with me, and that prevent me from maybe potentially playing Miracle Package in the future because I don't want to go in time. So I'm trying to play a deck that allow me to finish earlier so I can rest for the next round. So that's another discussion that we should talk about. But stack deck limiting it to 1, maybe it could help the current meta. Not so fast, limiting it to 1. I think people are already only playing like 1 or 2 copies already. So that might not change much. Time Warp, it's a 1-off also. Falling Star, it's a 1-off. Ride to Win, it's a 1 or 2 copy. Punch First, I don't think orange is making a big impact in the current game. So Punch First shouldn't be limited to 1. And it just like, I'm having a lot of trouble playing orange because Draven is just too strong. So that's one of the reasons why I switched from Severe to Draven. Charm, potential to 1 copy because Charm is just too broken in Aurelia. So the amount of time that I got my whole board cleared because Aurelia is just Charm 2 of my biggest units, my only win con on the board, and killing it for free, just eating like cookies, that's bad. Bushwhack, it's a 1 copy, it's a 1-off. I don't think it should be limited to 1. Last Right, also, it's a 1 copy. Rasa, potentially, I think it's a good thing to limit it to 1 because it's just a very broken card in Miracle Draven. Or potentially any purple deck, Rasa is just super broken. Thermal Beam is your only win con against Aurelia if you're not playing gear. So Thermal Beam is killing any gear deck, for example, Horn, Jax, or potentially Aurelia. So limiting it, Thermal Beam to 1 copy, actually gonna be a boost for those gear deck. So maybe potentially they want a Thermal Beam to the game is to allowing other gear deck to be better. So I'm not against it, but 1 copy of Thermal Beam might be good. Brinier, it's actually preventing you from doing anything late game because I got Brinier so many times that I'm just like GG, good game, on to the next one because there's nothing I can do on a big battlefield with a lot of units against mid-range Draven or even against like Lucian or any red deck, Kaisa. If you go Brinier, they go Time Warp and next turn follow with a Brinier for game, there's nothing much you can do about it. So Brinier limiting to 1 makes sense. So here's my opinion about the potential ban list. Please share your opinion below on what you think about the current ban list for Gundam as much as for Riftbound, depending on which game you guys like to play, and just share your opinion and how you think. Please subscribe, like this video, and comment below. And hope you guys enjoyed this type of format, and on to the next one.